Hi there, welcome to Caltex Academy. Today on our board we have a beautiful question of radical. It looks unique. We have radical inside a radical, and we're asked to show that this left hand side should give us exactly the right hand side. And how do you tackle this number? If you're excited, come closer and let's dive into the video. So the first step is to make sure that we copy our question down here, and we have the square root of 8 over a square root of 72 plus a square root of 54. So everything is also under a square root, and here the first step is to split these numbers inside the radicals into two, where one could be a square number. Now 8 can be split as 4 times 2, and from the denominator we have 72 can be split as 36 times 2 plus 54 and be split as 27 times 2, and all is under a square root. So having done this, we have a distributive law of this radical that says if you have A times B and under a square root, this can be given the same as a square root of A times a square root of B. Now following this rule, we can go ahead and apply it in our question here to see that we split it. Now here, what we can do is to have the numerator square root of 4 times square root of 2 all over we have square root of 36 times square root of 2 plus square root of 27 times also root 2, and everything is under a root. Now after here, these square numbers, we can get their square root, and the square root of 4 is 2, so we have here 2 times root of 2. So from the denominator 36, its square root is 6, so 6 times root 2 plus, now for this one we don't have it as a square, so we can just copy it like that, and we have root 27 times root 2 all under square root, and from here we can see that square root of 2 is common in both the numerator and denominator. So what we need to do is to factor out the square root from the denominator, and let's maintain still our numerator as 2 root 2. So here we have root 2 into 6 plus root 27. Now we still maintain under root. Now after this, we can cross the root 2 from the numerator and root 2 from the denominator, and we can copy the remaining terms, that is 2 over 6 plus root 27. So at this point we have made it simple. Now what we have to do here is to see that, okay, we can rationalize the denominator of this radical. And how do you rationalize a denominator? What we have to do is to multiply both the numerator and the denominator with the conjugate of the denominator. So we can create a bracket here, and we say our conjugate of the denominator is reversing the sign of the denominator from positive to negative. So we have here minus root 27 as the conjugate of the denominator, and from the denominator here we also copy our 6 plus root 27. So we also multiply with the conjugate of the denominator, and that is 6 minus root of 27. So we can divide that, and we have our root sign here. So let's go on and simplify the denominator. Now we can also see here that, okay, when we have this identity, difference of 2 squares of a minus b, and this is equivalent to a plus b and a minus b multiplied together. So when we take this around here and we compare them, we realize that we have here 6 plus root 27 times 6 minus root 27. So you can see here that, okay, a is corresponding to 6 and b is corresponding to root 27. So what we can do is to see that, okay, since a is the same as 6 and b is the same as root 27, now what we can do is, on this side we replace our a here with our 6 and squared minus root 27 also squared. So with all this we can rewrite this one in the same way, where we have, let's get enough space, 2, let's maintain the numerator the same, 6 minus square root of 27, and we are dividing this by, so here we have 6 square minus 27, this will be under root, so let's say under root of 27 should also be what? Squared, and everything is under a square root sign. So after this stage we can still simplify the denominator, and we can even go ahead and open up the numerator so that we have 12 minus 2 under root of 27. So from the denominator, 6 square is 36 minus, so these two will cancel with the square root sign, and we have 27, and still everything is under the square root sign. So from here we can still go ahead and simplify the denominator. Now 36 minus 27 is 9, So let's keep maintaining our numerator as 12 minus 2 root 27 all over 9. So let's make some tweak to the numerator here to write this 12 into numbers. So we can see that we have 9 from the denominator, so we can write the numerator 12 as 9 plus 3. Why we wanted this 3 here is because in our results here, the right hand side, we had 3 attached to our answer here, which is that. So for our case, we also need to generate something so that we shall have our 3 from our solution also. So this is minus 2. Now again, we can rewrite this one as 9 times root 3, because 9 times 3 is 27, and we have split the square root sign to the two numbers. So here again, we can go ahead and split this 9 as 3 square, so that we have 3 everywhere. Now this is still under a square root sign. So after this, we can go ahead and write these two numbers in form of this denominator, where we have 3 square plus, for us to obtain back this 3, we need to put it under a root sign, such that if we square here, we can go back and get exactly what we had here. So we have here 2. Now you can decide to use dot or multiplication sign. For me, I'm comfortable with multiplication sign since we don't have any x around. So 2 times the square root of 9 is 3, and then times the square root of 3 all over 3 square, and everything is still under a root sign. Now, having reached to this stage, then we have to also see something here that can help us bring some identity. Now, since we have something like square and square here, let's gather these square terms together, and we have a square plus b square minus 2ab. So in this regard, let's go ahead and compare what we have just written here with our expression here. So let's get this nearer and say, okay, if we have 3 square plus under a root of 3 being squared minus 2 times 3 times root 3. So you can see here that, okay, our a is corresponding directly to 3, and b is corresponding inside here to under root of 3. The same here, a is 3, b is the same thing here, meaning we can derive the same thing from the left hand side as, so our a is 3 minus b is root 3, and we square. So given this, we can transform the numerator to have something similar to this left hand side of this expression. So moving on, we replace our numerator with just what we've gotten up here, and we'll have, now we have 3 minus under root of 3, and everything is squared, divide by 3 squared, and this is also under square root. Now after reaching to this stage here, we also have this exponential rule. Let's say if you have a to the power of maybe m over another, let's say b to the power of m, this can be written the same as our a over b. We can pull out these individual powers to be a common power here or exponent. So when you look at what we have here, a is corresponding to this inside bracket 3 minus root 3 and squared, which is here, and b is 3 squared, which is here. Now we want to write in the form of this, so let's go ahead and implement it in our next step here, where we have our 3 minus root 3 under 3. So the whole of this we need to square, because we're just pulling this exponent out here, and remember everything is still under a square root. So we also know that this square root is the same as a power of 1/2. Now we can rewrite that and see that, okay, our 3 minus under root of 3 over 3 inside this bracket can be a power of 1/2, and this 1/2 is multiplied by our comma 2 here, and quickly it will just vanish. Now this square has gone with our square root sign, and the only thing we had is 3 minus under root of 3 over 3. So we can distribute our denominator to these two terms, and we have 3 over 3 minus square root of 3 over 3. So here, if you divide that, it vanishes to 1, because we know by 3 goes 1, also by 3 goes 1, and we only had to copy our square root of 3 over 3 as the question suggested, hence shown. So let's look at our work. This is exactly how we can tackle this question here. At first we were given our question here, and that is exactly what we have just got. So if you have gotten some value from this video, consider subscribing to the channel and like this video, share with friends, and see you in the next one. Peace out.